so excited you're here today. I am doing something new. I am trying a totally new recipe to our family. The husband is working on a new diet plan and he found this recipe. Okay, let's get real. The man likes meat. So he found a recipe that he wants me to try. And I thought, you know what? This would be perfect for Souptember. I am so excited. LeAnne invited me back again this year to participate in Souptember. If you don't know what that is, there is a playlist on her channel for all the years that she has been hosting it and all the great recipes that you'll be able to see from years past. In addition to, we've already started this year's collaboration. She kicked it off on the 1st, and here we are already on the 10th. So you've had 10 days of delicious, yummy soup recipes. And let me tell you, I've watched almost every single one of them already, and my mouth is just, I'm drooling. I want to try them all. And I know some of the ones that are coming sound really amazing, so you guys are not going to want to miss out on that. And if having these recipes isn't enough, she is going to be giving away some wonderful prizes on October 3rd, with the grand prize being a $100 gift card. So even if you're not in the US, don't worry, you can still win. So make sure you go over to LeAnne's channel, The Mennonite Farmhouse, to check out all the information and all the details and watch her announcement video to understand all that information. But I want to get started now making my Souptember video. We're going to be making some red and green chili. I guess it's so good you have to say it twice. I will not have a printed copy down below because where I'm getting this recipe from is a Kindle book that my husband purchased, and I don't know the copyright laws on that, but what I can do is tell you what it is. I'm getting it from Eat Happy 2, 160 new gluten-free, grain-free, low-carb recipes for a joyful life. So if you really like this recipe and you don't see what I'm doing, then go ahead and you can check out that book and get this exact recipe yourself. But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as I do it, so follow along closely and you'll be able to make this too. But first, we need to go to the garden. Okay, I'm going to bring you, I've got my little basket, and I'm going to bring you to my meager little hot pepper patch and see what we have available to us today. We need 6 peppers, and I know one that we must get is this bonnet one. I think it's supposed to be orange, but it's turned red. These are not so hot, I don't think. I'd like to find some green jalapenos if I could. Oh man, we got more of the bonnets coming on. 3. I think all my jalapenos have even turned red. 4, 5, and 6. All right, so we've got 3 green and 3 red peppers. You're supposed to roast 5 of them. So what's really neat and unique about this recipe is it's not a tomato-based chili. It's a pepper-based chili. I am not a pepper fan. I do not do hot. So when my friend told me that these are not hot peppers, I'm really hoping she's right because I lost the tag and I thought they were supposed to be. Oh, they kind of smell hot. Well, you know what? Let's just cut into one and find out. I'm wanting to roast 5 of these. This one I'm going to leave raw because it's the super hot one. But let's go ahead and take off the top. Well, it doesn't smell terrible, but I'm a baby and I don't do heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. As I keep smelling and smelling and smelling again. And I think I'll take just a little tiny bit of this pepper and let's give it a taste. Let's give it a taste. Okay. Yep. My friend's right. Whew. I was so afraid that was going to be one of those, super hot on the Richter scale or whatever it is, peppers. It's not. So back to cutting peppers. The way I look at it is the part of my family who likes really hot, they can add that later, right? They can just go ahead and help themselves to a nice spicy pepper on top of their soup, you know? These aren't very big jalapenos, so I might go ahead. I think I've got some in the fridge. Keep thinking maybe I should grab a couple more. Okay, I've got a couple peppers here that were in the fridge that are half green and half red. So I'm going to go ahead and add those just because those peppers just didn't seem very big. So once the oven is preheated to 400 degrees, I'm going to throw these in and we're going to get these roasted. The recipe called for a 2 to 4 pound chuck roast. Well, I happen to have some stew meat in the freezer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this, getting it kind of trimmed up. It's still partially frozen. It's a little more frozen than I'd like it to be. But I want to make sure it got trimmed really nice. I have to run this under some water. Okay, so I got some warm water here, and that did the trick. So I will pull that out of there. And I'll get the next bundle in because these are about, I don't know, 1.5 pounds each. And my butcher did an amazing job trimming it this time. This is from meat that we grew ourselves here on the farm. And it came from a Jersey who don't really have a lot of fat on them anyway, but nothing like a deer, nothing like venison would have. But I mean, you absolutely could use venison with this recipe too, but it did call for, I believe it was a chuck roast. So I just want to make sure that I kind of cut off any fat or if there's any anything on there that you just don't want to be eating. Go ahead and trim that off. And obviously my knife is not very sharp, so I may need to change knives. But when your meat is partially frozen, it's a lot easier to cut and trim. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that trick with you. And then I will bring you back once I am ready for the next step, because there's no need for all of you to have to wait around while I sit and trim the meat. The meat has all been pretty much trimmed and cut into smaller bite-sized pieces. I've started the peppers roasting at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, turning halfway in between. So next to prepare, we're going to go ahead and put together a spice blend. And we're going to start with a tablespoon. It calls for ancho chili pepper. I don't have that, so we're using chipotle chili pepper. It'll be fine. Pepper. It's pepper, guys. And 1 tablespoon. So did you know that 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon? One, two, three. We could count. Okay, next we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Today I'm using the Himalayan sea salt. Natural salts are always just a little bit healthier for you. And I just happen to have some of the super fine, and I need to get it used up. So this is a perfect way to do that. I like to use it for any kind of meat rubs and things like that too. You need to put 1/2 teaspoon of the ground white pepper. It's really not like pure white. And I don't know why it needs to be the white, because honestly, it's going to be dark anyway. But there we go. We're going to put it in just the way the directions say, because we happen to have it. If you don't, use black pepper. It'll be fine. We'll need 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. My daughter, when she put this on there, it's just plain paprika, I'm sure. My smoked paprika jar is not in the cabinet, so I'm sure we're out. Paprika. Another 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Oh, I love cumin. I use it in a lot of dishes. And then we're going to round this out with 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cayenne. Here we go. Give that a quick little mixy mix. And I'm going to set this aside. And it is time to turn those peppers. Oh, looky. We got that nice roasted pepper on the skin on that one. Kind of scorches it a little bit. That's what you want to happen. That is what you want to happen. Back in the oven they go. Whoopsie. I almost forgot we need an onion. So I'm going to, calls for a small onion. We like onion. I'm going to call this one a medium one. It's all good. It's all good. Use, you know, when you cook, you can cook to taste. It doesn't have to be super specific. You don't like onion? Don't use onion. But who doesn't like onion? You can hide it. Pulse it down. Kids will never know. Now, all these skins that I'm peeling off, don't throw those away. If you've been around here long enough, you know I like to save all those, and then when I get scraps of meat and bones and other vegetables, I'll make broth out of it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and chop up this onion while the peppers finish roasting. And this is about the size of chunks we like. You cut it how you like. Onion done. Whew, these ones got nice and roasty toasty because I had to walk away from a minute. My little trick to you is to cover with foil and kind of let it cool for a bit. It's going to make getting the skins off so much easier. All right, it's been, at least 20 minutes probably. And I'm going to go ahead and see if we can't get these skins off these tomatoes. Peppers. We're going to get the skins off the peppers. And I'm going to go ahead and de-seed some of these. Here, let's try this differently. Okay. We're going to take, there we go. That butter knife, I think, is going to be a better option for us to peel that skin off these. These peppers had been on the vine a while. That's why they're red. I guess you can actually pick them green. It's kind of a new pepper year for me this year. So you want to put just the meat part into like a food processor or a blender or something. Skin is just going to be a little tough, so you want to try to take that part off. But the flavor of these peppers are so good now that they've been roasted. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our own pepper paste instead of having like a tomato paste. Now, I'm not wearing gloves, so I'll have to wash my hands really, really well. See, the jalapeno skin is so thin, especially on your homegrown, I find have a thinner skin. Maybe I'm imagining it. I am peeling the peppers out of these jalapenos because the bonnet pepper, I believe Scotch bonnet, I think they have different names. I'm not sure, but I know it has some bonnet in the name. And it's going to be pretty hot. And I'm going to leave the seeds of it in there. Okay. Whew, I'm scared about this one. It kind of smells sweet, but I know better. I know better, you little trickery thing, you. I'm not about to taste this one. I'll have it mixed. Thank you very much. Okay, so now hopefully this thing works. It's old. I got it used. It's a garage sale or thrift store bargain, I'm sure. Let's see here. Let's give it a try. The recipe said it would make a paste. That's not making a paste. I wonder if I need to add a little liquid to it. Because this just looks like chopped pepper. It did also say that you would have to scrape stuff off the sides. So I guess maybe it's just a process that requires some patience. I just don't think there's enough there to do it. So we're just going to use what we have. It'll be fine. The next tool we're going to be using is the Instapot. And yes, you can absolutely do this on the stove top. You can use the crock pot, whatever. But I want to just have one pot to wash. And we're running a little late on time. It is after 6 and my family is going to be really ready for supper. So let's go ahead and turn this on the saute button. We're going to add in approximately a tablespoon of olive oil. And then to this, we're going to add our onions. I'm going to set this aside. But while that's happening, we're going to grab our meat, which has kind of come to room temperature now. I'm going to drain off any liquids. And then to this, I'm going to add our spice blend. We're going to stir this all up. Make sure we try to coat it a little evenly here. And that seasoning is going to just stick right to that meat. And then for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, they would want you to probably let that set. But we're just going to do it while our onions saute. Yes, I'm using the same spoon. I don't care. It's all going to be in the same pot. There's no need to get everything dirty, guys. Let's make this simple on ourselves. Oh, I love cooking my onions first, don't you? Don't you just think that's the best? Okay, now that our onions have started to cook, because remember, they're going to cook a little bit more when we put this meat in here, I want to go ahead. This is the point where you can either cook this in the frying pan, or if you have an Instant Pot like we're using today, you can go ahead and cook the meat a couple minutes on each side. What you're wanting to do here is you're wanting to kind of brown it, because that browning and those brown bits are going to get us some good flavor. Okay, so a little trick I want to tell you about when you brown your meat. You need to actually let it sit on the bottom of the pan for a little bit and then flip it over. Because if you're constantly stirring, you're not really going to get that crispy brown umami is what we're looking for. Now we've turned it, we've got to let it sit for a couple more minutes. There is a lot of juice in here, so I won't have to worry about deglazing the pan. I'm kind of surprised about how much juice really is in here because I haven't put much in here. But we've turned our meat again. It is now time to add our, well, it's supposed to be pepper paste. But guys, it didn't happen for me. If you try this recipe, let me know if you got pepper paste and let me know how it worked for you. I think that my peppers were just too small. I needed bigger peppers to fit in my little machine. But that's okay. I think we're going to enjoy it anyway. It said the number of peppers, not a measurement, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And then we're going to open our broth. We need 2 cups, which is a pint. Today I'm using a chicken broth. You can use whatever kind you want. I've got my 4 jars lid opener. If you don't have one of these handy dandy things, get one. It's super cool. I just love it. Add this in here. Give it a bit of a stir. Now this is supposed to serve 4 to 6 people. Suppose it depends on if you're feeding and hard work and men in the field, or if you're you know, just having a light soup and sandwich type of meal. Put this on. I'll make sure it's not venting. And then, so it calls for 3 hours on high in the crock pot. You're supposed to move everything to the crock pot and do this. But I'm going to do, we're going to go with the bean chili. I looked it up and it's like 25 to 30 minutes in the Instapot. So I'm going to go with the bean chili at 30 minutes. This is why I chose to use the Instapot today, because I can get this done in, you know, a lot less time. So if in like 25 minutes I want to shut it off and check it, I can. But I figured it's not going to hurt to go a little extra longer. It'll make the meat more tender. I love using the Instapot for stews and soups because your meat just gets so delicious and tender when you use them. Same with the crock pot. I love my crock pot too. So don't leave yet. There will be a taste test. Okay, so it has been 10 minutes since it was done. So I wanted to just kind of let it natural release for just a little bit. But now, it's time to eat. Okay. See what it looks like. Ooh. Give it a stir. Definitely a soup more than a stew. It's definitely got all that broth and everything. I'm going to admit I'm scared. I'm really scared. So I'm going to take a very, very small amount just so that we can do a taste test until I know what it is like. Okay, they suggest serving it with sour cream and cheese. Okay, I took the meat and I kind of cut it up, spreading out the cheese. The cheese and the sour cream should help with heat if there is any heat. So let's give it a try. Let's do this. Okay. It's not a burn. It's not a burn your face off heat. There is definitely a kick and a bit of a tickle in the back of your throat. Let's try another bite. Some more broth. Oh. Woo-hoo! If you have some heat lovers in the family, look at my cheeks. They're already turning red. If you've got some people who love heat, this is the soup for them. Now, what I can see doing for someone like me who needs to tone it down a bit is add some rice to it. So if you're not watching your carbs or anything, I would start your bowl out with some cilantro lime rice, then add some of this on top and your sour cream and your cheese. Let me know if you give this a try and what you think of it. Do you make something similar at home? Have you even heard of such a thing before? Let me know in the comments below. I just had to sneak in here real quick and tell you all, the farmer, he just told me that's the best soup he's ever had. Like restaurant, home, anything. He loves that recipe. So I think we'll be making that again here. The farmer loved the leftovers just as much as he did the first night, so I know that this is something I'm going to try to can. There isn't any ingredients that worry me other than make sure that you check your dry spices for anti-caking agents. If there is none, you're good to go. Process like you would any other meat. And don't forget to go check out all the other Souptember videos, because now is the time of year to start filling up your recipe box with soup recipes. Bye for now, friends. See you next time.